Welcome to another trip down the Bourbon Road with your hosts, Jim and Mike. So grab a glass of your favorite bourbon and kick back.
Well, you know who likes to give back to their community is one of our sponsors, Jim. Chris Cruz from Cruz Customs Flags. He does custom flags out of bourbon barrels. Not only does he do that, but he's also using veterans to build those flags with. I've got one right behind me, Jim. I know you got one on your bar. Beautifully handcrafted, repurposing a bourbon barrel, not throwing it away, not making it into smoking chips, making a piece of Americana, right?
It's something that'll last probably quite a few years longer than a bourbon barrel would, right?
Not only that, but he's using veterans to build those pieces of art with. You know, you got to love that. But he's also giving back to his community at all times, helping veterans out like ourselves. He is really in tune to that. Go check his site out, cruzcustomsflags.com. You can buy his flags on there, key holders. Heck, Jim's got some these neat little cups that are charred inside, made out of oak, that you can put a cocktail in.
They call those the whiskey grail, don't they?
Yeah, that is. It kind of reminds you of, when you think of a grail, but truly a whiskey grail right there. Go check those out at Cruz Customs Flags. Purchase from this guy, veteran owned, veteran operated, making a veteran built product.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jim Shannon.
And I'm Mike Hyatt.
And this is the Bourbon Road. And today, Mike, it's another Craft Distillery Monday. We're trying a new bottle from a new distillery. One that we haven't had before, one that one of our very good friends is part of the project.
Yeah, this distillery is actually, it's a new distillery, Jim, but it's an old distillery, really. It's the revival of Ej Curley, which was founded in 1867 here in Kentucky after the Civil War. Now, Ej Curley was a young man out of Ireland, right?
Out of Tuam, Ireland. Yeah, that's kind of near Galway on the west coast of Ireland.
He came to America, he became a soldier, and he was stationed at Camp Nelson, which was famous for having runaway slaves or freemen coming north, and they would join the U.S. Army at the time, or the Union Army. And he got to know those soldiers at the time. And then after the Civil War, he started his distillery in 1867, like we'd said. And that's high on the banks overlooking the Kentucky River, called the Palisades. If you've ever driven south of Lexington, or you're coming north out of Tennessee and you cross the Kentucky River, you'll see those Palisades up there, those high limestone cliffs. Very, very beautiful, right?
Yeah, very beautiful. And we already know that there's a couple rick houses there that produce a very fine whiskey.
What's that? What's that whiskey, Jim?
That's at Russell's Reserve. So, Wild Turkey, Jimmy Russell, Eddie Russell, they've got a couple of warehouses sitting over there on that property in Camp Nelson. And some of the very best of their single barrels come out of there, actually. So it's well known by people who appreciate a good Wild Turkey single barrel. They know to get a Camp Nelson bottle is pretty good.
Yeah. And to say Kentucky is not excited about this brand being brought back to life, Ej Curley and Company, they plan to establish a Camp Nelson facility, and they're going to invest $18 million into Kentucky. That's just a little bit of money.
That's quite a bit. And that's really good. I read somewhere that they were going to have somewhere around a 22,000 square foot distillery facility, which is nothing small. Plans to produce anywhere between 15 to 20,000 barrels. That's a big operation. Well, that's a substantial operation, I should say.
Yeah, I was reading that too, Jim, and it looked like they were going to have a staff of about 52 there. That's a lot of employees for a distillery. I really, really like it. It looks like they got about a 57-acre facility there that they'll be able to grow on and stuff. They've already started some tours. They got a thing that you can take a tour out there and you can stay in a kind of a tent or a yurt, I guess it would be called. You want to check out their website for that. But what we're here today is to talk about this whiskey we got in our hand. Jim, this is a Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. What's that mean to all of our listeners out there?
Well, that means, first of all, that it was created in Kentucky, and that it was barreled in Kentucky, and that it spent at least 2 years in that barrel before it was bottled. So it's at least a 2-year-old whiskey. Now, we know Ej Curley is a new operation, and they're just starting production in 2022. So in order to produce this whiskey, it was necessary for them to get some single barrels out there in order to do a batch, right?
Yeah, this would be considered a small batch. And knowing Ashley, this is probably, I would take a guess at 3 to 4 barrels of this right here. And you can find it all over Kentucky right now. Total Wine, Liquor Barn, Justin's House of Bourbon has some bottles, $51.99. It's non-age stated. We do not know the mash bill, but maybe Jim, maybe you'll take a stab at it for us today.
Well, we could take a stab at it, but history shows that blind tasting can definitely set you straight and make you realize just how uninformed and how not professional you can be, right?
Oh, heck yeah. That's why we always say we're just two bourbon bullshitters, really. The bourbon could put a schooling on us. But I'm excited to taste this thing. I was over visiting Ashley, and I saw it on the shelf, and I said, hey, what is that? And she just handed me a bottle and said, hey, take it home, and you and Jim do a review if you want. So it's always nice to see her working with new companies and bringing some money back into Kentucky and opening up a new distillery. That's a little bit of money, and I'm glad that Ej Curley and Company hired our good friend Ashley. Well, Jim, let's stop talking and let's try this whiskey.
Let's check it out. It's got kind of a light, fresh nose on it.
I get a peach on this.
Yeah, light fruit. Definitely not. It's nothing deep or bold or dark. It's definitely light and airy. A little bit of ethanol on it, not too much. A little bit of vanilla.
They make these Twizzlers that are, me and you've talked about Twizzlers before, but they make some sour Twizzlers that are like tropical fruit ones. And I get a little bit of those on there. Maybe it is that peach, that nectarine, maybe a little bit of mango in there.
I could go with like a tropical fruit, not a lot of citrus, but a little bit. And it wouldn't be like an orange or a lemon or a lime citrus. It would be a little bit more like a citrus you might get out of a tropical fruit, right?
Yeah, I'm also getting a little bit of spice on that. Maybe I would even put some Caribbean spice to that, just because it has that sweet tropical feel to it.
Well, already, Mike, we're calling out the notes one after another on the nose, so that's a good sign, right?
Heck yeah, it is. It's always when the nose smells good, you're hoping the bourbon tastes good.
All right.
Well,
Let's
Jim, I say
out.
Cheers. Yes, sir.
Cheers. Sweet vanilla. Getting a little bit of that oak, though. Wow. Kind of sweet, sugary sweet.
Yeah, it's almost like that whenever you get peaches in those little fruit cups, and it's not water, it's got that syrupy taste to it. The peaches are in there.
Yeah,
I don't know, I keep getting that, but it's got a nice little spice to it. That hug's starting to run down a little bit.
Yes, it's got a little bit of a bite on the sides and the back of the tongue. So I'm going to say that this definitely has a pretty decent malt content to it, but at the same time, I feel like there's a bit of rye or at least a pronounced barrel influence on it that gives it that spice.
Yeah, that spice is really beautiful. You know what I'm getting out of this, Jim, is sweet tart candies. That's, they do have that not bitter, but a little bit of tannic, and maybe that's that oak, but that sweetness that comes with those.
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier that sugary sweetness, but do you know those Dunkin' sticks? You know what a Dunkin' stick is? I'm kind of getting a little bit of that, kind of like a clear white icing, kind of a white vanilla, clear white icing. Really good. I would say that this is, and Hug's building, Mike, by the way. I mean, I'm starting to get a little bit of build up back there. Now the finish is not super long on it. I would say it's a kind of a medium finish, maybe a little bit shorter than medium. But the hug is it's not a bear hug, kind of a gentle Kentucky hug, kind of a Southern Belle hug.
I tell you what, it's perfect for this time of year. It's still spring. It's about 68 here in Kentucky today where we live at. It's drizzling rain outside, and this fits perfect with that, Jim. That's 95 proof. Like you said, probably a soft medium on this right here with that that light Kentucky hug. I really like that. The other thing I wanted to point out to our listeners, Jim, is this bottle. I'm digging it. It's got a really nice, beautiful embossed label on it. I love their Ej Curley. I don't even know what you would call that.
What is that? Emblem or
their emblem? Yeah, it's got the E and the J and the C in there. I'm not sure what runs through there. We're gonna have to. Maybe we can get these guys on and talk to them. And then on there it says courage and integrity. And I think, from what I understand, that came from Ej Curley himself. He kind of lived by those.
I think we need one of those that says TBR, and it says something, in Latin.
Gaelic.
Maybe Gaelic, I guess.
It would have to be Gaelic and not Latin, I think. Can you write Gaelic, Jim?
Just what I learned watching Outlander.
I was gonna say, if I get enough whiskey in you, I bet you'll be like, man, I got this, Mike. I got it. Yeah, I like the bottle. It tells the story on back here about his Civil War and where he was born. I just can't get enough of that. Now, this county was dry. This company kind of went defunct in 1960s. And now they're coming back. So much so there wasn't even an ordinance for a distillery there in what county is it? Jessamine.
Jessamine. Yes, Jessamine County. So if you're familiar with Kentucky and kind of Lexington sits mid-state, and this is for our listeners, if you go south out of Lexington, you'll pass through a town called Nicholasville. That's Jessamine County down there. It's heading south out of Lexington. It's not a far drive, but I would say with Wild Turkey not too far away, Woodford's not all that far away from there. Hey, if you take a jaunt just a little bit the other direction, you're at Wilderness Trail.
Yeah,
so it's kind of sitting right in the heart of things down there.
It's nice to see a distillery go in that area because there was just this big bare area without a distillery. So between Lexington and Danville, there was really not a distillery or anything. Now they're going to, revive one there. And I just love it. I can't wait for us to get down there and see that history as they bring it back to life. And how much better could they have started than with this small batch right here, Jim?
Yeah, I agree. And I just want to give a shout out to Ashley. This is the first Craft Distillery Monday episode, I think, where I've poured 3 times in a 15-minute episode. So this is my third Glencairn pour since we've been recording this. It's going down real easy.
Now, listeners, if you see the photo of this, I actually shared this with some good friends that Ashley blends for too. I shared it with some folks down at Leapers Fork Distillery. Lee Kennedy and Matt King both got a little sample of it, besides Jim getting a sample. And there's not much left in the bottle now. But both of those guys, a master distiller down there and their lead distiller, they both just love it. They thought it was really good. A nice simper at 95 proof. It's pretty perfect. That proof's spot on, I think. It doesn't drink hotter than that or doesn't drink lower than that.
Yeah, I feel pretty confident that a couple of good friends sitting down with this bottle could get themselves into trouble really quick, because it does drink real easy.
I like that sweetness too, Jim. It's not so sweet that if you're a Scotch drinker, you're like, oh, well, this is bourbon. It's too sweet for me. The sweetness is there though. If you are a pure bourbon drinker, you're going to love this bottle right here. I say for $51.99, if you can get your hands on it, this is going to go fast. It's got that tall, old school whiskey bottle style on it, a little bit of a tulip neck. Yeah, I like it, Jim.
So this is the Ej Curley Straight Bourbon Whiskey. It's their initial release from the new distillery there in Jessamine County. I would say definitely keep an eye on this place. They're going to have the equipment and the staff to produce an awful lot of whiskey. I know they're in Kentucky only now, but Illinois, New York, DC, the standard first attack of a whiskey, right, is to start moving out. I would say it won't take them too long to be in most states. So,
oh yeah, and now that companies can ship out and stuff, look for that. Check out Ej Curley. Check out our friends over there at the Spirits Group, Monica Wolf and Ashley Barnes. Give them a follow. Give Ej Curley a follow on social media, if you would. Excellent review, Jim. Once again, my fine friend, it's a pleasure to drink whiskey with you.
Yeah, you too, my friend. Well, people can also find us. You can find us on all the social medias: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. I think Mike just had a new TikTok video where he's drinking straight from the barrel.
That wasn't me. That wasn't me, Jim. Jim, that was the big bad booty daddy. Made an appearance. He made an appearance down there drinking straight from the barrel.
All right. Well, be looking for a lot of great content from us on all the social media outlets. Also, check out our website, thebourbonroad.com. Every single episode we put out is on thebourbonroad.com. We've got a new audio player on there. It's real easy to use. You can listen to the episodes straight from there. We also have our articles on there where you can go in and read what we have, what we think about the bourbons that we review. We try to get as many of them on there as possible so that when you're out shopping, you can look something up and see if it's worth picking up. Mike, we do 2 shows every single week. We do this short episode like today. We call it our Craft Distillery Monday episode. And today is a fine example of us lifting up a brand new craft distillery. We try to tell you whether or not we think you ought to have a new whiskey on your bar. But every Wednesday, we do a full-length episode. We do a deep dive on a subject. We'll drink several expressions. We'll have a guest on. We'll travel around the distilleries. All kinds of good stuff happens on Wednesdays. But, Mike, how can they be sure that every single week they won't miss an episode that we put out?
Well, listeners, you know what I'm going to say. On your app, you're listening to us right now. You want to scroll on up to the top. You're going to hit that check sign, that plus sign, that subscribe button. Add this podcast on whatever player you're listening to us on. That app will let you know, hey, these 2 guys got a new episode coming out. Also, if you would scroll on down, hit that 5-star review and leave us some comments, we would appreciate it. But you know what I'm going to say. As I mentioned before, the big bad booty daddy of bourbon will come to your house dragging a bottle of this Ej Curley with him. You guys will drink it all night long. You'll end up giving us that 5-star review and some comments. I guarantee. But seriously, those comments, those 5-star reviews opens up doors to distilleries for Jim and I. It gets great whiskey like Ej Curley in our hands to do great reviews. So you'll know what to pick out when you go to the store. If you see it on our show, more than likely we like it because we drink it. It just don't sit on the shelf and look pretty, right, Jim?
That's absolutely true. As we're doing our episodes, we're always looking for new content. We love to get feedback from our listeners. If you've got an idea for a show, if you've got a bottle that you think needs to make it into one of our reviews, if you've got a small distillery in your town that's doing it right and you want to shine a little bit of light on them, or you've got an idea for a great guest for the show, make sure you let us know. Mike and I will do the work. We'll do the footwork. We'll get the bottle on. We'll get the person on. We'll make a great show out of it. We love feedback from our listeners. We're very approachable. Mike can contest to that as he walks into a liquor barn. He's very approachable, aren't you, Mike?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You want to walk up to me? Just don't give me a hug. I'm a little shy sometimes. No, I'm not a hugger. Unless I know you really well and I think you're a brother or sister, just come up and put your hand out and I'll shake your hand most definitely.
All right. Well, make sure you reach out to us. There's many ways to do it. Go on our website. We've got a contact us page. You can go on there and leave us a message. You can also send us an email. I'm Jim@thebourbonroad.com. He's Mike@thebourbonroad.com. Like we always say, probably the best way. Hit up our DMs on Instagram. I'm JShannon63.
I'm Big Bourbon Chief.
And we'll see you down
the Bourbon Road.